Hey everybody, I bet you've seen a few of these lately. It's the first one I've written in a very long time. Fuel shortages, generally due to panic buying. I want to talk about that. I want to explain who's to blame, in my opinion, and also explain why this happens, because of the way that the petrol stations work. When people panic buy fuel, there is nothing they can do about it. So first things first, who's to blame in this situation? Well, normally people want to point the finger at the media for scaremongering people into saying there's going to be a fuel shortage when there may have only just been a very small fuel shortage. And then, people go and panic buy, and then there is a very large fuel shortage. And people, as they want to blame the media for that. Sorry, no, it's not the media's fault. It's every single person that goes to the petrol station who normally only puts a tenner in and then puts 70 quid in their car. I'm just topping it up, right? When I worked in the petrol station during one of these shortages, the amount of people that came in, and I knew everyone, I knew their schedule. Like, some people will come and put in £10 every day, some people will come and put like £40 in every couple of days, some people will come in and put, 20 quid in a week. It depends what they did. However, they would come in out of their usual schedule and they would fill that car to the brim. And then they would come into the store and say, oh, no, I'm not panic buying, I just happen to need it. Oh, I've got a long trip coming. Look, if you panic buy, okay, you are just taking fuel away from someone else. And in the same way that if you're someone who didn't get the fuel, it's because someone else did the same thing. But if you would have done it anyway, then don't blame the other people for buying all the fuel, if that's why you were there. Just buy what you need as you need it. Because a petrol station relies on selling petrol at a steady rate, working on their average. The reason for this is really simple. So a simplified petrol station, say we have 2 tanks for LPG, okay? And they run off to 3 pumps each. Let's do a pump. That's a pump, by the way. Make it a bit taller. There we go. Now it looks more like the 90s ones. Or even put a box on the side of it. Oh, we're getting elaborate. Here is the extinguishers. Here is the glove dispenser, which is empty, of course. Here is the blue roll holder. That is also empty. And here is the bin, which is massively, massively overfilled. By the way, that's illegal, that's annoying, and that's annoying. In the petrol station I worked in, I always made sure that people have blue roll and gloves because you're supposed to have it. And waste paint and overfilled bins are actually illegal on petrol stations. Now, you have a minimum amount that you don't want to go below. And yes, this is because there can be debris and remnants and sediment in the tanks. You don't want to be drawing out of the bottom of the tanks, ideally. Between this line and the maximum fill line, this is called your ullage. So say this space is, 3,000 litres. I can't remember what size our tanks were, they were probably quite a bit bigger than that, but let's just say that that's the 3,000 litres. So let's actually simplify this more and go for a single tank setup. So say you have 3,000 litres space and you sell 900 litres a day. Well, you know that you're going to need more fuel in 3 days' time, and you're going to obviously sell 2,700 litres in those 3 days, which means to get your tank back to 3,000, although you won't actually brim it, you always leave a bit of gap at the top, and I'll explain why in a minute. You know that you need to order 2,700 litres for the next delivery because that'll put you back to a full tank, because you're working on the average. The reason this is so important, and if you get this wrong, well, I used to get a £5,000 fine if I ever got this wrong, thankfully I never did, is because obviously your tank is underground, and then your tanker lorry, oh, by the way, inside them they have segments like this. It's not one big tank, it's several tanks kind of welded together, or it's one tank that's divided, you know what I mean? But you'll have diesel in one of these and like petrol in another one. These might be for you, this might be for the petrol station down the road. When they fill up these tanks, there's no pump or anything like that. It is just a big tank, and the tube that comes out of it is gravity fed. You have a vapour recovery system as well, so let's just put this to here and this to here. What happens is the fuel comes out down the tube into your tank, and then you obviously got a lot of petroleum vapour from the empty tank, well, the space in the tank. That then gets forced back up a thing called a vapour line, which puts that air back into, well, it would actually be going to the exact same tank. But basically it allows the air to go back into the tank as the fuel comes out. There is no way of switching this off. So when you order the fuel, you have to be absolutely 100% sure that the amount of fuel you have in this tank will fit in this one. Because if it doesn't, you're in a very tricky situation where what you normally have to do is open the forecourt and give free fuel away until this drops enough that this drops down enough that the tanker can disconnect. I don't know if they're all still like this, but that's the way it worked back in my day. So, as you can see, if this happens, your driver's now stuck here, and he can't go anywhere and you're giving away thousands of pounds worth of fuel, or alternatively, he turns up, checks with his 2,700 and he checks your ullage and it says you've got 800 litres in there, for instance. Well, he knows 2,700 and that's more than my capacity, I can't do delivery, and then he goes back again. Petrol stations work on averages for this reason, and when you can only order every 3 days and the whole infrastructure is set up for a delivery every 3 days, if people come in and buy your 3 days worth of fuel on day one, it's not like you can call them and get them to deliver more the next day. There is going to be a delay of at least 3 days because that was the normal system. But when everyone is doing the same thing, then you're getting people ordering big loads of fuel, then they're going to have a supply problem, then you're also, it's completely pointless. This whole panic buying situation, it's caused by a system that works like this and people not just buying what they need. This is how shortages happen. When I worked through one of the massive panic buying sessions, we had no problem ordering fuel. It wasn't like we, sent the order and they went, oh, sorry, no petrol today. That wasn't the case. It's just we worked on this system. You could only order every 3 days, and when we were out, we were out. That was it. That is why we have issues when people start panic buying. And as I say, you can blame the media all you like, and yes, they always kind of are at the core of these panic buying situations. However, it takes people to go to petrol stations and put in much more than they normally would. There is people that would have normally put a few quid in there who went in there and just brimmed it because, well, as long as I'm all right, Jack. You know that expression? Now, I ride motorcycles, so for me, I don't need nearly as much fuel. I'm not going to take so much fuel, and the most I can take is 12 litres or something like that. But if there is a panic buying situation going on and I don't need that fuel in the next few days, well then I'm not going to fill my tank to the brim for no apparent reason other than to just basically have it myself at the cost of someone else not having it. And the thing is, you've got to think about the knock-on effects. It's not just, I don't know if ambulances get their own fuel deliveries in these sorts of situations, if they've got some sort of system set up, but just everyday people, carers for elderly people and things like that, they need their cars to go from person to person to person. If they can't get fuel on that day, maybe 6 people don't get a visit or something. Just take the fuel you need and don't be selfish. And understand why it's so difficult for the petrol stations to account for it. So as I say, I've experienced a petrol shortage firsthand while running a petrol station. This was my issue, and people coming and panic buying. It was never not having the fuel to order. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new here, or this isn't what I normally do. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye bye.